Hello there, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now for many years I've been a strong proponent of using a journal to capture things like your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings. It's a really useful diary of the events that you encounter, which allows us to prepare for the future. If we understand what's happening today, we can certainly prepare for the future. And it's also a really great way of keeping yourself accountable. Now, for an example, this is my health journal. I've kept a health journal for quite some time, and it really helps me to measure things like the amount of exercise I'm doing over a long period of time, maybe the number of steps I take, and I also record what I eat for each meal. The reason I do that, I'm not OCD, but it allows me to be accountable towards the goals which I have set myself for my health, my weight, and so on. And that's really helpful in achieving a target. For me also, practically speaking, I use a journal pretty much every day because I don't use scripts when I prepare for our conversations here on YouTube. I tend to keep notes and I will record my notes. These are just the principal things that I intend to say on camera. So they're not scripts, they're just ideas and thoughts, and then I read them and I'll produce some verbal content when we meet through the lens. So for me it's a really interesting and positive way of keeping everything in one place. Now for me, when it comes to journaling, why use a journal? Why not use an app on your phone or some other device or your desktop? It's so much easier, isn't it? Isn't it easier because you can do all your spell checking, your grammar checking? Well, that is true, but for me, part of the whole experience of writing is the mechanical combination of using my brain, my hand, and the pen on the paper. This, for some reason, for me, really aids the flow of creativity, because as I'm writing, my brain is working and it's helping me capture that material, my thoughts and ideas. Now, it just isn't the same for me when I use a computer. So for me, really using a journal or the written word instead of the typed word makes a significant difference. Now over the years, as you can see, this is just a small collection of the journals that I've accumulated. I tend to pick them up as I go around. I would find inexpensive ones for sale in stores. I would buy one and that would become my journal of choice. However, about 4 or 5 years ago, I started favouring the brand Moleskine. I tried Lamy. This is a Lamy journal here. Good quality actually, really nice, proportionate price. I'd even tried at the higher end of the market. This is a Mont Blanc journal and it's covered in an amazing leather binding. The paper is very high GSM quality and it's really good. But its price point makes it uncompetitive for daily use. When I found Moleskine, and this is one of my completed Moleskine journals here, which I have filled every inch of it with writing, I found a brand which I was quite comfortable with. Fairly good quality paper, good price, well manufactured. I was comfortable with that. Italian design, made in the Far East, but worked well for me. Good, well-made books. I used that for a number of years and I was quite comfortable with Moleskine. I used their smaller, this is an A5 size. I also used their much larger sizes. I think that's a B5 or something like that. I also used their diaries. I'm sure I've got a Moleskine diary here too. With a soft cover. I've used their hard covers as well. I was really comfortable with them, really happy. But I decided, as an experiment, earlier in 2022, I was going to try a brand which I'd seen, heard of, had difficulty pronouncing, but I thought, let's give it a go. It's favoured by so many other people, there must be something in it, and I decided to try the Leuchtturm 1917. Now, sir, it's a name in itself, isn't it? Leuchtturm, you look at the written word, it's not the easiest thing in the world to say, but when I bought this journal, it set me off in a direction which I think will signal my dedicated use of this journal going forwards. There's all sorts of reasons why I like it, and let me tell you, as an interested consumer, it's always good to know a little bit more about the company, where it's from, things like that. So Leuchtturm was founded in 1917, as can be guessed by the actual name of the brand. They use 1917 in their brand identity. Although it always has not been known as Leuchtturm, that's a relatively new addition since, in the 2000s that they started using that brand identity. Although the company has gone through some mergers and changes over the years, it was founded in 1917 and it does remain in family ownership 4 generations down the road. So still family company, striving in Germany, of course, to try and make some very high quality products, which I think they have achieved. So why do I like them? What's so special about Leuchtturm other than its funny name for me? Well, let me tell you. First of all, the most important thing for me when it comes to a journal is the paper stock quality, because this is what I'm going to be most interested in, because that's where the pen meets the paper, where the rubber meets the road. What I like about the Leuchtturm paper is that they use 80 GSM. Now GSM is grams per square meter. It relates to the weight of the paper, and the higher the GSM rating, the thicker quality paper that you're going to find. 80 GSM is, kind of middle of the range. However, my Moleskine previous journals were 70 GSM. Now you think 10 GSM, is it going to make much difference? Yes, it does. When you're using a fountain pen, which I predominantly do when writing, and this is where the quality paper is going to be an advantage to you, 80 GSM provides a good, solid foundation for any fountain pen ink. And I use all sorts of different fountain pen inks. All right, I'm not a proprietary cartridge user. I tend to use inks from a variety of different companies, Mont Blanc, Diamide, so on and so forth, loads of them. They've all got different qualities, but I've never been let down or found the paper from Leuchtturm wanting. It doesn't bleed through. Now, bleed through would, as the name suggests, would mean if you write on one side of the paper, it'll bleed through to the other, thus rendering the obverse to your sheet of paper useless. I've never had that problem with the Leuchtturm 80 GSM. I have had it a few times with particularly wet writing fountain pens on the Moleskine. The other thing I would say about the paper, it's always smooth, easy, pleasant to touch. And they also make it available to us in ruled, so what I tend to use personally, ruled. They have the dot grids, they have it in graph, and they have it in blank. So if you have a preference for the type of paper that you choose to use, you'll find it available for you when you're using your Leuchtturm paper. So good quality, takes the paper well, there's never any feathering, so that's where you write with your fountain pen and you get little sort of capillaries of the ink forming away from the written, the words which you've used, because the ink is too wet and it's running off. Never find that on the Leuchtturm paper. It accepts the ink very readily, and that's all you can ask, isn't it? Now, the other thing I would say, which I do find very useful in my Leuchtturm journal, is the fact that they have an index page in the beginning of the journal, just a couple of pages. Now for me, as you can see, I tend to keep my content written throughout the book, and the index page in conjunction with another feature which you don't get on the Moleskine, and I'm sorry to keep comparing to the Moleskine, but as they are probably the two sort of market leaders in the journal, the Moleskine does not benefit from an index page, nor does it benefit, very important factor, numbered pages. Now, numbered pages in conjunction with an index means you can keep track of your work, because when you complete something, you've written some content which you intend to use in your YouTube content creation at some time in the future, you write it in the index. It's easy to find it immediately. You don't have to, as I used to with my Moleskine, go rooting through or leaving little markers, these little index markers sticking out, the sticky ones. That was a bugbear to my life. Now, with an index page and pagination or numbered pages, it does away with all that. The work is done for me, so very pleased with that. Now, one of the other things, which is a minor thing, but and I'm sorry to compare it again, but the moleskin journals, they have a single page marker, a ribbon, which you can find your place in the book. The Leuchtturm has two. There are two here. So one there, another one here. It just, again, allows you to keep your place and find out where you are very, very swiftly. That's not unique to Leuchtturm, I have to say. My Lamy journal here also has two little ribbons, so nice and easy to keep track of, no problem at all. The other things I like about my Leuchtturm, which is not unique to it, but it has a large, spacious bellows back pocket, which means you can slip things in there if you've got notes that you intend to use when you're writing later on, or maybe a business card from somebody that you meet. Pop it into the back. There it is, ready for you when you need it. What else have we got? Oh, we also have another interesting little thing, small little thing, but you also get little labels. So the labels, you can, maybe when you've finished using your journal, you can stick the label on the front, which will say, you know, journal October to January, something like that. And there's even spine stickers, so you can stick it along the spine of your journal, so that when it's in a bookcase, you can identify which one is which easily and readily without, again, rooting through them, having to pick them up and try them. So lots of things to your advantage. The other thing I really like about the Leuchtturm is customization. So there are many, many different colours. This is quite a bright red one, easy to spot. I've got another Leuchtturm one here. This is a grey one. They have an enormous range of colours available. So if you have a preference, surely there's going to be a colour in there which fits your needs. In addition, they keep bringing new ones out. So I think they must have a policy to bring new ones out each year at least. You see new colours arriving. It keeps your interest. Certainly like me, if you tend to go through a few journals a year, it's nice to have a different colour each time. You're not lumbered with, you know, your blacks, your navy blues, which tend to predominate in this market. What else? Not a great deal more to tell you, really. There's this sort of standard elastic closure. You'll see that on many of the journals, though. Just keeps it all in one place, stops it blowing open. Hard and soft covers available. So if you prefer a hard cover, you've got that. Or if you prefer a soft cover. So you get a bit of flexibility if you're going to be thumbing through it. Got that too. So very great advantages on that front. So in other words, there's something there which will fit your needs. Price-wise, they are middle of the pack, I would say. They're not cheap, but then you wouldn't expect them to be because they're fairly good quality. They cost around about £20. The only downside to the Leuchtturm range that I have personally encountered is they're not readily available on the high street. So here in the UK, if you go into John Lewis department store, you'll find pretty much the whole range of moleskin available in their stationery department. If you go into Waterstones, the bookstores, the high street bookstores, they carry moleskin. They don't carry Leuchtturm. To find Leuchtturm, you've got to find yourself a bit of a specialist stationery store. But really and truly, in this modern era, that isn't a problem, because I buy mine from Amazon. I'm sorry to say, if those of you who are not great fans of the killer of the high street, but Amazon is a great place to find your deals. And even on the Leuchtturm website itself, you can buy directly from them. However, there's going to be a shipping charge there because they are sent from Germany. And I did buy my diary this year from their website directly. It cost me a couple of pounds extra for shipping, but it's about £20 for an A5 journal, 251 pages with all of the features which I've described. I think it makes them a very approachable product. I made the switch now earlier in 2022. I do not imagine I will ever go back to moleskin. They simply don't have the comparative product for approximately the same price. Just my thoughts. Just to remind you, I'm not sponsored by Leuchtturm, not at all. All of the journals on this desk I've bought with my own money. Most of them are full of my handwriting, and I have lived this experience. This is not just some sort of quick review. This is experience over quite some time, which hopefully you may find to your benefit if you're thinking about buying yourself a new journal. Maybe you've been using Moleskine or another brand and you want to trade up to something of a bit higher quality. Try the Leuchtturm. You may find it to your advantage. So, if you've enjoyed this video, I would be grateful if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like this, click the subscribe button. And if you'd like to practically support the channel to keep me making videos just like this, you can help me by simply buying me a coffee, and the notes on how to do that are in the show notes below. So until the next time, keep your ambitions, your goals, your thoughts and your feelings contained in your journal. Use a journal satisfactory to the quality of individual that I know you are. Why not try the one I've suggested today? But if nothing else, give it a try. So, until the next time, take care, and I will see you again very soon.